Hello and welcome back to Better Know a Poet. Today, C is for Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Coleridge was one of the greatest and also one of the most tragic poets in English literary history. Samuel Taylor Coleridge was born in 1772 in Ottery St. Mary in Devonshire, England. His father was vicar of Ottery and headmaster of the local grammar school. Coleridge was an extremely precocious child, immersing himself to the point of morbid fascination in romances and Eastern tales such as the Arabian Nights. In 1781, his father suddenly died, and Coleridge, who was going to the grammar school in Ottery, was sent to was sent to Christ's Hospital in London. In 1791, he entered Jesus College, Cambridge. There, he continued to read voraciously and impressed his schoolmates with his eloquence and prodigious memory. In his third year, Coleridge fled Cambridge and enlisted in the English army as a dragoon under the name Silas Tomkin Cumberbatch. Discovered by his friends, his service was bought out by his brothers, who returned him to Cambridge. The year 1795 proved one of the most eventful in Coleridge's life. This year, at the age of 23, Coleridge, along with the poet Robert Southey, concocted a plan to begin their own ideal society. Called a Phantasmagorical, which means rule by all, the society would be founded on the banks of the Susquehanna River in Pennsylvania. In preparation for this scheme, Coleridge and Southey set themselves up as public lecturers in Bristol. Southey also persuaded Coleridge to marry Sarah Fricker, the daughter of a schoolmistress and a woman that he did not love, but who Southey convinced deserved him because she denied all of her other suitors. Coleridge was never to recover from the blow he received after Southey abandoned the Pantocratic project, leaving him with a wife whom he did not love. Thankfully, this year also witnessed Coleridge's meeting with William Wordsworth. Together, through their shared sense of the importance of the imagination, their views on society, and the belief in nature and human genius as a mirror of the divine, they produced one of the greatest collections of verse in English literary history. Lyrical ballads, published in 1798, initially met with mixed reviews, but soon provided the rubric for much of the poetry written during the Romantic period. This collection includes powerhouse verses by Coleridge, including his Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The next nearly 20 years of Coleridge's life were marked by a number of intense tragedies. These included a growing separation from his wife Sarah, capped by a formal separation, an increasing dependence on and addiction to opium, a severing of friendship with Wordsworth, and the departure of Sarah Hutchinson, Wordsworth's sister-in-law, and the one woman who Coleridge truly loved. This period also saw the production of some of Coleridge's most powerful verses, including Kubla Khan, Christabel, and Dejection and Ode. In 1816, Coleridge became a permanent resident in the house of James Gilman, a London surgeon who monitored Coleridge's opium dosages. Under Gilman's care, Coleridge regained a large portion of his poetic power and produced a number of remarkable works. This included his Biography Literaria, considered one of the greatest non-academic works of literary criticism ever produced. In 1834, Coleridge succumbed to a final, fatal illness exacerbated by his years-long addiction to opium. He is buried in St. Michael's Church in Highgate, while his memorial resides in Poets' Corner at Westminster Abbey in London. And the poem I'm going to read for you today is called Frost at Midnight. This is one of several poems by Coleridge, which, very similar to Wordsworth, seeks to capture a conversational style. So until this time, probably most poetry had been in formal verse. So formal pattern verse, where every line is the same number of metrical units, each stanza has the same number of lines, and the rhyme scheme is repeated throughout the poem. So it's very regimented and very strict in terms of its formal conventions. So Coleridge and Wordsworth were the first to very seriously break away from this and write poetry which is almost like a conversation. This is taken up by much later poets, and today it's considered almost normal to have a free verse conversational type poem. Now it's considered abnormal to go the other way, to have form-overs. This is called Frost at Midnight, in which he compares the growing of frost on the window panes to the breath of the infant that he is holding in his arms. The frost performs its secret ministry, unhelped by any wind. The owlet's cry came loud, and hark again, loud as before. The inmates of my cottage, all at rest, have left me to that solitude which suits abstruser musings, save that at my side my cradled infant slumbers peacefully. 'Tis calm indeed, so calm that it disturbs and vexes meditation with its strange and extreme silentness. Sea, hill, and wood, this populous village. Sea, hill, and wood, with all the numberless goings on of life, inaudible as dreams. The thin blue flame lies on my low burnt fire and quivers not. Only that film which fluttered on the grate still flutters there, the sole unquiet thing. Methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives its dim sympathies with me who live, making it a companionable form, whose puny flaps and freaks the idling spirit by its own moods interprets, everywhere echo or mirror seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. But ho, how oft at school with most believing mind, presageful, have I gazed upon the bars to watch that fluttering stranger, and as oft with unclosed lids, already had I dreamt of my sweet birthplace, and the old church tower whose bells, the poor man's only music, rang from morn to evening, and all the hot fair days so sweetly that they stirred and haunted me with a wild pleasure, falling on mine ear most like articulate sounds of things to come. So gazed I till the soothing things I dreamt lulled me to sleep, and the sleep prolonged my dreams. And so I brooded all the following morn, awed by the stern preceptor's face, mine eye fixed with mock study on my swimming book, save if the door half opened, and I snatched a hasty glance, and still my heart leapt up, for still I hoped to see the stranger's face, townsman or aunt, or sister more beloved, my playmate, when we both were clothed alike. Dear babe that sleepest crawling by my side, whose gentle breathings, heard in this deep calm, fill up the interspersed vacancies and momentary pauses of the thought. My babe so beautiful, it thrills my heart with tender gladness thus to look at thee, and think that thou shalt learn far other lore and in far other scenes. For I was reared in the great city, pent mid cloisters dim, and saw naught lovely but the sky and stars. But thou, my babe, shalt wander like a breeze by lakes and sandy shores, beneath the crags of ancient mountain, and beneath the clouds, which image in their bulk both lakes and shores and mountain crags. So shalt thou see and hear the lovely shapes and sounds intelligible of that eternal language, which thy God utters, who from eternity doth teach himself in all, and in all things himself. Great universal teacher, he shall mold thy spirit, and by giving make it ask. Therefore, all seasons shall be sweet to thee, whether the summer clothe the general earth with greatness, or the redbreast sit and sing betwixt the tufts of snow on the bare branch of mossy apple tree, while the nigh thatch smokes in the sun thaw, whether the eve drops fall, heard only in the trances of the blast, or if the secret ministry of the frost shall hang them up in silent icicles, quietly shining to the quiet moon. And there he's talking about all these beautiful scenes, and he can do that because he's living now in the Lake District with Wordsworth, which is some of the most beautiful natural scenery in all of England. Okay, so that's Coleridge, and I will see you tomorrow.